Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric. It has been a fun-filled week with adventures and projects that have made great progress, a lot of time in the sewing machine, and a little bit of time out and about. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in, but first I want to mention I will be trying to put some chapter marks so that you can more easily navigate this video if that is what you choose to do. And I also want to mention, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram, you may have missed a number of short videos that I have posted this past week, sharing my progress on my projects and also my adventure at a adventure to a fiber festival. So if you haven't caught those, go ahead and check those out. They're in a playlist here on YouTube. I put all my short videos in a playlist labeled short videos. I think they're pithy shorts is what they're called. So make sure you catch those because they were fun to make, and and they're giving me joy, so maybe they'll give you joy as well. All right, so on to the adventures. On Saturday, I made it to the Montpelier Sheep and Dog show. I think that's what its name is. I may get the words backwards. Excuse me. I think I've been inhaling too much air trying to get ready for this. And so I made it to this fiber festival. I had hoped to pick up one fleece, knowing very well that one never knows what they're going to find when you're going to a fiber festival that has fleece for sale. And as soon as I walked into the tent that had the fleece show, the first thing I saw on the end of a table was a beautiful, beautiful silver taupe. Not taupe. Silvery kind of taupish type alpaca fleece. And I do not need any more alpaca. My husband would tell you I don't need any more fleece, but this was lovely, really, really lovely fleece. So I walked past it and I walked into the tent, and just to check around it, wanted to look at everything that was there to see if there were some breeds I hadn't spun before. And I first ran into, after running into the alpaca, I saw some Gotland fleece that again was a really nice, pretty silvery color, long locks, and I loved it. So I marked that one. Okay, I got to look at this. So I looked around. Then, to my amazement, there were these ginormous bags of Romney. So I haven't spun Romney before either. And I kind of had sticker shock in reverse because the dollar amount on them was inconceivably inexpensive. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. At that time I was like, I'm not really sure what I would do with that much fleece of Romney that I'd never spun before. But when I started calculating up in my mind the Gotland, which I was really sure that I wanted to go home with, and the Romney, the two combined, the inexpensive price of the Romney really offset the more what I expect price of the Gotland. So long story short, I knew those two were going to go home with me, and I just couldn't pass up on that alpaca. I have kind of a love-hate relationship. Those of you that have watched my videos in the past will know I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with alpaca. And I just knew that if I ended up picking up that fleece, that I might change my love-hate relationship with alpaca. So I ended up coming home with 3 fleece, and I will have some video and some showing of that fleece here in just a moment. But I want to talk about the Fiber Festival before I show you the fleece. So of course we had kind of done a little perusal of some of the booths as we were headed back to the very, of course, you know, this is how it's going to be. The very furthest back corner, the only thing further away was the dog trials that they were doing, which was a little bit, just a little bit, I guess you could say, next to the fleece tent. So they'd placed the fleece in the very furthest from the entrance tent. So those of us who were going specifically for fleece had to pass everything else. So I did a quick perusal of some of it as we headed back there. And after I sent my husband back to the car with my 3 bags of fleece, and he came and he returned, we ended up looking at the rest of the booths in the ones that we passed in more depth. And I'm really glad that we took the time to do that. We pet a few sheep. We watched a little bit of the dog trials. I have to say that for me, not really being tremendously into that part of the festival, it was nice to watch it, but the conditions weren't exactly the most comfortable for me to have enjoyed it. I'll admit, I'd much rather watch something like that on TV when it's being curated for me rather than, you know, out in the elements. But it was a lovely day for it, and it was lovely to see to see that type of event here in the local area. So as I said, we traversed the rest of the booths, and there were a couple booths that really just had me amazed, drooling, wanting to spend more more of the spend some more money on it. And one of the first ones that I was just really taken with, that I wanted to share because I brought some stuff to share. It's the crafter is out of Nashville, Tennessee. I will put, if I have links to something, I will put them in the description below. But this is it's called knittingnotions.com, and I'll take it out of the bag. These are shawl hair sticks. In fact, I was going to put them in my hair, in my bun for today, but it's been a crazy day, so maybe I'll put them in there. But it's a 2-pronged wooden, so there's one, that's the cherry wood, and then this one is yellow heart. And my husband and I were both so taken with it, with the 2-prong type, that we got one for me, and maybe I'll give one for my daughter, but they basically, yeah, like that. Or the same type of thing in a shawl. But isn't that just a really lovely shape and style? So, yeah, might as well just go ahead and add it to my very messy bun. Do we see that on the camera? Let's try that one too. So it's kind of hard. I have this big clip, so I don't want to run the risk of breaking it by putting in the. I have one of the big claw clips in today because it's been crazy. So the hair just went up. But that is it is knittingnotions.com, and lovely hand and handmade wooden tools to go along with knitting and knitted items. So if you have a chance to check them out, I will put a link, as I said, in the description box below. I really wanted to share that with you. The next booth that I wanted to talk about, it just really caught my eye. In fact, I have some pictures of it that I'll post here as I'm talking about it. It drew me in because I saw yarn lollipops from the outside of the tent, and I had to go in and take a look. And the vendor, she was wonderful. She had no problem with me taking photos. She asked that I would share the information with you. She has a website. She also sells her items on Amazon, and she is an indie dyer. So I meant to. I'm pretty sure it's the uknitssew.com. I'll put it in the description. She has the lollipops, and she also had little balls of yarn, and she sold them in egg cartons, and that just delighted me. The way she displayed these just absolutely delighted me. And she has patterns that you can make from those lollipops and egg cartons. So another one that it was delightful. I love the indie dyers. I love the patterns that she had, the creativity of it. And yeah, it was just, and yeah, she, as I said, she was really proud of the effort that she had put into, not just an indie dyed skein of yarn, but the creativity in how she was presenting it, the patterns that she presented to go along with it. It just struck me as being a wonderful shop for someone who is looking to buy a fiber gift for someone. So if you're looking for a gift, especially as we're getting closer to the holidays, if you're looking for a gift for your knitting friend or yourself, everything about her shop just struck me as being very gift giving friendly. So I wanted to mention that one as well. It tickled me, just really tickled me. Then the final one, I have a picture of that. I don't know if I don't think I have the card or information. And I'm not sure I actually even took a photo to tell you what their website or anything, but I just wanted to share it. There was a couple that they sold, he did some crafting and she did some crafting, and they had this just little tiny, very basic booth where they were selling some of the items that they did. But she's one of the people who makes all these little cute little frogs and little knitted and then felted mushrooms and little tiny knitted mushroom ornaments. And it was another just delightful interaction, just talking to him. It was wonderful because unlike a lot of times when you're interacting with the different vendors, where this is their business, and it is something that they have to really be focused on as far as the business. You really got the feeling that this was a couple who just simply were offering for sale items of extra that during the year that they had the extra, it was like looking at my husband and I down the road a few years on, and I really enjoyed visiting with him. One of the things as you can see, I don't have a lot of photos or video of the fiber festival. I am terrible. I am really terrible at vlogging these days out. A lot of that comes from the nervousness that I get, that comes from years ago when I would go to quilt festivals and quilt shows and markets. Back in the days before everybody was online and everybody had a vlog, you would get into a lot of trouble if you took photos of the stuff of people's booths. In fact, you sometimes ran into a lot of negativity, at least here in the United States and different places. Even when you asked if you could take photos of their stuff, you could come with some real pushback, not just of don't take photos, but a lot of negative response. And at least that's the experience I used to have. And I could completely understand why, because, well, everyone's always trying to copy what they see. We definitely imitate what we see at these shows. And that's why I include the couple at the end. They had no problem. In fact, she told me to take photos so that I could copy and imitate what I was seeing. And that just really warmed my heart. Yes, we live in a time in which there are a lot of people who actually will do their very best to steal our images, our patterns, try to sell them as their own, scam people out of money. But there's also still people who are doing this and showing up to these things in order to inspire. And it did really make me feel good, and feel much more comfortable. I do get anxious. I get a lot of anxiety, especially in crowds. And my experiences years ago have fed into those anxieties a little bit more than I wish they did. And it's like sometimes I think that becoming more self-aware of these things makes it sometimes harder to navigate. But at least I know why I'm reacting, whereas in the past I didn't always understand the anxiety that I felt. And so we were wrapping up the day at the festival. It was one of the last, actually, it was the last booth we visited, was this couple. And it just made me feel wonderful. It made me feel wonderful because their joy, what they were doing, is very much like what my husband and I do, only we don't do festivals yet. I'm trying to convince my husband that he would be great at sitting at a booth. But it's about, I mean, the whole point of this vlog, the whole point of sharing this outside of just my family, is for that inspiration. It's to inspire others to copy what I do. It's inspire others to take the free patterns that I post on my blog and do with them what they would like. When you make a very vanilla shawl like my capelet that I've posted, or my triangular shawls, those are vanilla. Those are basic. They're really basic construction, and they are the starting point for greater creativity. And I would absolutely be thrilled if someone then took them and made them their own and put their own twist on them, because I'm here to inspire. And it was wonderful to see somebody doing that. And it was a delight. She had 2 frogs in her pockets. I mean, it was just a delight. And anyone who purchased those items, and there was a woman who was purchasing, she had come and had visited the booth when she first entered, because it was right as you enter, and she dashed back and she said, "Oh, I couldn't stop thinking about the frog. I knew that I would have to get this." She was buying it for a family member, and you couldn't stop thinking about them. And that's why we make these things, is because we can't stop thinking about them. They make us feel good. And the idea of carrying a couple of them around in your apron pocket, oh my goodness, that is so what I would do. So it was wonderful to see, and it was a wonderful day out. I had some of the best barbecue pulled pork that I've ever eaten. It was like, you know when it's a booth that is a local group that is fundraising or making money for for a different, using the event to fundraise. Wow. I mean, it was just really some of the best pulled pork that I've ever had. So it was a great day out. Now, moving on to the fleece that I came home with, because that, I'm sure, is what a lot of you actually are wanting to hear about. I ended up getting, so the Gotland was 3 pounds, 11 ounces. The Romney fleece was 11 pounds. Normally, what I'm used to at fiber festivals in Colorado is that when it was something like an 11 pounds, they'd split the fleece in half, and I would buy half a fleece. This is the largest fleece I've ever actually purchased. My husband was like, this Gotland, he was wondering, is this like just a half fleece? Was this all of it? I said, well, it doesn't really say. But it's a difference sometimes between when you have a breed with a long, silky, wavy lock versus a fluffy. But 11 pounds. I have 11 pounds of Romney. I dread washing that. I'll show you that in a minute. And then I have a 4 pound, 5 ounce, I think that's what that says, alpaca. 4 pounds of alpaca. Yeah. All right. So let's show you, what that looks like. All right. So, actually, let's go to the video that I have. When I buy a fleece, I'll try to scour it, right away. I will be scouring these when there's a little bit more of a break in my crafting. I normally, when I've gone to fiber festivals, they've been earlier in the spring or early summer, and there's just, nothing, especially here where it's so humid, nothing quite like scouring a fleece when it is hot and humid. But one of the things that I will do is I will store my fleece in buckets, or I do have some bins, but I use some buckets. And so in this clip of video that I'm showing, I have laid down a cloth on the ground so that I can open up the fleece and not get it dirty. And then I'm splitting the larger fleece into multiple portions so that they'll fit in these 5-gallon buckets. The first fleece that I had been showing is the Gotland, and I will show you here the nice Gotland locks. I'm really I really like the length. It's a lovely long staple. It reminds me a little of the Wensleydale that I have. But it's like, it's not as slippery, silky as the Wensleydale. It's certainly not as coarse as the Leicester long wool that I have, but it's just really, and it's actually really soft. Wow. So I did not take any time to look up information. I'm dropping locks all over. Oh my God, they're going everywhere. So there's very little lanolin on it. It will need to be scoured, definitely. But it's very different than from the, I figured it'd be like the Wensleydale but it's not as silky, it's softer. So I didn't look up any of the properties. I didn't do any research. I will do that as I scour and share this later. But it's lovely. As soon as I saw the fleece, I knew that I needed to have this. I knew I needed to try this. So, I have that one. So in this next one, you see me rolling out my 11 pounds of, Romney. It is a white, it is a white fleece. For those of you who have not processed raw fleece, you will see that it looks very cream-like. It looks very yellow. That's the lanolin. This 11 pounds has a ton of lanolin in it. There's a lot of fleece, and it is caked with lanolin. So I had trouble getting it into the buckets. I had to go and get old lids from my other buckets and swap them with the new lids in order to get everything to have a lid on it. But this Romney, I couldn't believe. So I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for the fleece because it is very, very different, the prices, depending on where you're at. What I will tell you is the Romney I ended up getting at a very, very huge discount. I guess because they were trying to destash. Okay. Breeders destashing, I guess. So Romney I knew was it was going to be I know that it's not going to be that none of except for the alpaca, none of this is going to be like on my extremely fine wool categories. I already knew that just because I recognize the different breeds based on what people talk about and how they use them. But what got me was how long the lock. And I was talking about the lanolin. So all that yellow and these crispy tips, that is all lanolin, and that's going to wash out. So I couldn't get over the length. And I know that this is going to be probably something that for my skin is not going to be next to skin, soft. There's going to be some coarseness to it. But look at the lock length. How could I pass up a fleece that had that kind of lock length? It'll be so much fun to spin and to play with and to probably craft with. But wow. And I will decide what I will use with it after I've cleaned it and after I've tested what to spin with, and I'll share all of that with you at that time. I just couldn't get over it. But if you are not accustomed to working with raw fleece, all that color that color is the lanolin. And yes, my hands are now getting very lanolin and it's actually, yeah, this smells like sheep. Okay. My hands do not. So while it is certainly coated and sheepy, it's beautiful. And that was the other thing. It was clean. It is, I think I had to take one dead beetle out of it. But it was clean. It was really, really clean. So, I couldn't leave it behind. So I will not tell you what I spent on the others. Again, the price of fleece varies depending on where you're at. And we shouldn't be undercutting. We should value the people who are breeding our spinning flocks. But just to share this with you, I spent $22 to get that 11 pounds of Romney fleece. Now, I don't know what Romney normally sells for. I don't know what other areas would sell for. What I do know is that there's only been a few times I have ever only spent around $20 for a full fleece. One of them was a Shetland that had so much sand in it. It was horrible to process. I did process it. I did work through it, but it was a tiny little, pile of fleece compared to this. You just don't pick up fleece for that type of price. Not having it be wonderfully long locks of fiber. But I was in shock. And the people at the festival, they said, yeah, it's a case where they just wanted it to go. I resisted buying the other fleece that they had. I figured maybe somebody else would come in and it would be a wonderful fleece for them to get. It was all I could do not to come home with multiple bags of that fleece or more of that fleece. But I knew that 11 pounds would suit my needs just fine. I did not need to come home with any more bags simply because of the price. Sometimes we do have an opportunity to purchase at a much more marked down price. It is good to do so. I know that in the past, that's how I ended up getting quite a bit of my CVM. I purchased a whole bunch of it because it was a case in which a spinner's family was selling her stash and wanting to help the family out and not wanting them to not necessarily get all of it sold. I did purchase up a bunch of it. I'm really hoping that all of this sold. I'm hoping that somebody else went in and said, oh my goodness, I have to give this a try. That's why I left the other bags. So, it was definitely, it was eye-opening, shocking. I was in awe. My husband thought I was crazy. I have a paper towel here to remove some of the lanolin before I touch some of the other stuff. But the next fleece and the final fleece that I have some video of me sharing is the alpaca. I couldn't resist taking it home. Sometimes you'll see, so like with the case of the Romney, recognizing that it was just a deal I couldn't pass up, and a staple length, and a sheep I haven't spun the fiber of before. But sometimes you see something that just is so lovely that you know it's something that you need to spin, even if it is huge bag. Because so the bag of alpaca and the bag of Romney look like it would be, well, it's the same volume, similar volume. Whereas, you know, it's one's only 4 pounds and one's 11 pounds. Alpaca is so much more lighter weight. It doesn't have the lanolin in it. And so it's a lighter, it's an airier product. So all this fiber that had to come home. Now, its tips are a bit bleached by the sun. It has, I love, this is something that's really cool to take. You can see that there's this line of color. That line of color is sand. I know it's sand and dust because as I opened it up on that white sheet, a whole bunch fell on the ground. Alpaca like to roll in the dirt. So it embedded a bunch of sand. But this alpaca fleece had a couple little spots of dark brown, a couple areas that are a more taupey type color, and then a lot that is really looks in the sunlight very silver gray. And look at the length of that. So now, it's certainly not as long as this, but for an alpaca fleece, and it's so soft. It's beautiful length, beautiful fleece. It makes, and clean. Oh, very, very clean. It's the kind of thing that I almost want to break my household rule of everything gets washed before it's spun and spin it without washing it. Oh my goodness, my hair is all over the place. I was just noticing myself in the camera. I'm a little bit fuzzy today. See, gray hair, gray hair. But I can already feel the dust on me. I can feel my nose start to itch. But isn't that beautiful? So, we have made it through. Hopefully, there's been some clips, some behind the scenes. I am ready to share with you a fun little project that I just did. It is an In the Hoop bowl by Kreative Kiwi. That's the paper towel. And maybe wipe my nose because the alpaca is making, the dust from the alpaca is making me itchy. But it's a little In the Hoop from Kreative Kiwi that I just did. It made me very, very happy. It's just a little autumn. It's also, I'll be doing it again in the Halloween flare. But I just finished that one. I wanted to share that. It made me tons of happiness and joy. I was feeling a little tired. It was the perfect quick project. Yeah, these kind of things. A little candy bowl or for candle. All right, so moving along, let's just wrap this up because you can tell I'm all over the place. It's been a week. It's been wonderful, but it's been a week. This week's English paper piecing block, it is one of its name. It's very, very similar to a number of other variations, depending on how the applique is done. But it is the Cactus Rose is what it's called. I personally think, especially as I've done it in a little bit of Christmassy colors, let me bring that up close. I think this would be a fabulous Christmas themed block. So we could call it the Christmas Rose or the Christmas Cactus. I want to show you the back really quickly. It was a very relaxing one to do. I did hand applique those little pieces down, and so that is the block. I needed large. I have a couple that have smaller pieces. I needed a large, simple, really easy, fun to do block this week because it has been crazy getting my blowing in the wind quilt put together so I can hand quilt it. I have this big Halloween quilt that I haven't shown any pictures of. It'll be more of a surprise that I'm working on all the components of. It's been crazy. So I needed something simple and easy, and it's just a stunning block. I could see doing this as a whole quilt. I could definitely see using Christmas colors, Christmas fabrics. I have some batiks that are in Christmas colors that would be lovely. I think this is a block I will be doing again when this quilt is done. It was just a very easy, stress-free block. So it will be available for free download on my blog. In the description below, I'll have all those links. It's been a crazy video. I hope that I am able to edit it to where there is video and such that goes along, clips and pictures, and there's there's some sort of seamlessness to it. Again, if you check out the short videos that have been posted, you'll see up close pictures of my blowing in the wind leaf quilt wall hanging that I'm working on. There'll be more updates in the upcoming weeks, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for for sticking with this video. I really did want to bring to you this stuff about the Fiber Festival and mostly share with you that I had a wonderful time out. My husband and I, we found a new place to eat dinner on our way home, enjoyed the drive, enjoyed the sunshine, and just it was a little bit of a retreat from everything else going on in the world. And that's why I love these kind of festivals. Is whatever you're interested in, whether it be the crafts, the patterns, the yarns, the fiber, the dogs, chasing the sheep and doing the trials, whatever it is that catches your interest. These kind of festivals are just a way to step out of the world that we're dealing with for just a little tiny bit and get a bit of a break. And I know we're moving into the season of festivals. We have craft fairs and food fairs and all sorts of festivals coming up in these upcoming weeks and these upcoming months. And so if it is something you're able to do, I really do advise, I recommend that you get a chance to try to get out and see some of these things. Supporting the local vendors is always wonderful as well. But if you're not able to, there are some wonderful YouTube vloggers, much better at it than I am, who do go to these festivals. And you can find them on YouTube by looking and just typing in the search for a fiber festival, for craft festivals. And there's some wonderful YouTubers who do a much better job of showing you the sights and sounds and interactions of these days. So whatever your situation allows for, and oh my goodness, look at my hair. It's already dark outside and my hair is just everywhere. Here, let's just end this. Oh, there we go. Whoops, not on the microphone. Let's come this way. Whatever your situation allows you to do, I hope that you can take some time, enjoy some of these things, whether it's virtually or in person. Taking a few minutes taking a few hours to step away from the chaos and the world for just a little bit. It's good for us. It's good for our souls. It's good for our healing. And when we have an opportunity to support our local vendors, our local crafters, we should do that as well. whenever possible, we're sharing in the joy. So I'm about to wrap this up because I have a cat that has seen a moth. Do not believe it is a fiber moth. It is too big because I can see it more easily with my eyes. But my cat's going to knock something over very soon, and I'm going to track down that little bug that is floating around if he doesn't and get it removed. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you take some time to unwind with fiber and fabric, even if it's just a little bit on the virtual side rather than in person. And I wish you the best until we see you next week. Bye.